I've been meaning to make this video for quite some time. I actually took notes way back when, and it's recently come up yet again. So a while back, I joined a couple of beginner photography groups just to kind of see what people are into, see what's going on, see if I can help. And I found that, sadly, a lot of those groups, people don't really want help. I don't know what they want, but I got people that argued with me, told me I was wrong, I didn't know what I was talking about, just for giving advice on exposure and things like that. Instead, they wanted to rely on auto exposure and auto everything, and yeah, didn't need to learn all that. But that's a whole different rant, and that's a different day. This rant today is about become a photographer before you start charging money as a photographer. And I'm gonna go through some of my notes here. Like, here's one of the things that I wrote down. How much should I charge? This question seems to permeate beginner photography groups. Just think about that for a second. Beginner photography group. And the question people are asking is, how much should I charge? Example, you get a camera. A friend asks you to get pictures of their show car. How much do you charge? You were asked by a friend, you have zero experience, and you have no licenses or other business requirements. You have to ask yourself at this point, are you a legitimate business? Is the service of value a significant amount? In other words, what are you bringing besides a camera? If you don't have any experience and any skill in photography, what are you bringing other than a fancy, expensive camera? And then the biggest question is, which is more valuable to you, the friendship or the money that you might get from this transaction? In my opinion, this is a situation where you just got a camera, you really don't have any experience. You should just take these pictures for your friend and give them to your friend. I mean, that's not even something to talk about. Just do it, give it to them. There is something to be said for working for free. Now, I know some people are gonna lose their mind that a photographer would say that or suggest someone work for free. But here's the thing. If you immediately start charging the day you open up your shiny new camera that you've never used before, you're going to screw up. You're going to take bad photos, and you're going to ruin any reputation that you might be trying to build for yourself. You're also going to hurt the photography industry in and of itself, because if you purport yourself as a professional when you actually have zero experience as a professional, guess what? People will figure it out pretty fast that you're not good at this. You don't know all the things that you need to know because, I mean, we've all heard it before. The camera doesn't take the picture, the photographer takes the picture. Having a fancy camera doesn't really mean all that much. Sure, the image quality will be good, but will it be a quality photo? I don't think so. Here's some comparisons for perspective. You own a tire iron. A friend of yours has a flat tire. They ask you to help change the tire. Would you charge them simply because you have a tire iron? Or let's say you work out, so you're like, big and muscular, and a friend needs to move a couch. Would you charge them to move a couch for them just because you have bigger muscles than they do? There's an interesting statement that I learned a long time ago as a photographer, and that is that a client will become a friend faster than a friend will become a client. Now, let's unpack that for just a second. A friend becoming a client is difficult because they knew you before. They know you don't really have the life experience or the experience at all as a photographer. So to charge a friend and make them into a client is difficult unless you are already a pro. When you met this friend, you were already experienced. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. And I'll be totally honest. When we did weddings, if a friend asked me to shoot their wedding, I said, I'm either going to be a guest or the professional. There's no in between. If I am a guest, if I decide to not bring a camera, I don't bring a camera. If I bring a camera, it's for me. I'm not gonna have someone telling me what to photograph. I'll just photograph what I feel like taking, and they're for me. I may give the bride and groom the photos later, which I always did. But the point was, if you want to hire me, you can hire me, and you're going to get me as a professional. If you don't hire me, I am going to be a guest. So it's their choice which way they want it to be. And I've always treated it that way when it comes to friends and family and that kind of thing. There's a fine line there that you don't really want to cross. But on the converse of the client will become a friend, I have had many clients become really good friends that we're still friends today after many years. So that is easy because now you had a professional relationship, and then after the wedding, you realized you had something in common, so you got along really well, and you became friends. Now, some of those friends went on to have baby pictures or family pictures done, and we just did them. no big deal, because now they became a friend. They get the friend and family plan. And here's the thing, like working for a friend and working for someone who you don't know, like, Johnny Q Public, they're different things, because with a friend, you have a familiarity. There's probably some shortcuts being taken, or, it's a different, more casual relationship. Whereas working for the public, this person could be going on various websites and leaving reviews about you. They can be talking about you to their friends, to their family, and not always good if you don't do a good job. A friend is much more likely, especially in the beginning, to be a little bit more, okay, you're still learning, I get it, it's all right, can we do it again, kind of thing. Now, I wouldn't trust doing that as a wedding photographer, but I'm talking about like family portraits and stuff like that, or, just product shots, that kind of thing. Things that can be redone with a friend, yeah, use that for practice, absolutely, and give them the photos. And that goes along with this next statement. If you wouldn't feel comfortable charging the public for a service, then you shouldn't charge a friend. And that is something that I see a lot of people doing. They're like, oh, well, my brother-in-law needs pictures for this thing or needs a headshot for work. I can charge him. But they're not ready to charge a stranger for it. Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. You're kind of doing it backwards. There's a lot more notes here, but it's basically like, if you're ready to charge, what's next? Are you looking to become a professional? Because that's an important thing. If you are going to be charging money for a service, you probably are trying to become a professional. Well, in order to become a professional, there's some things that you need to know. Like, for one, you probably will have to pay taxes on the income, which means you may have to charge taxes depending on the service or products you are providing. You also probably need to have a business license. You also should have insurance, both for you, liability insurance, and for your gear against loss and damage and things like that. Because here's the thing, if you go into this with no business license, no insurance, all this kind of thing, and you charge someone money, they have the right to fight you in court because you ripped them off. You performed a service that you shouldn't be charging for, realistically. That's kind of a hard thing to hear, but it's true. Every area is a little bit different when it comes to what the requirements are. I know where we are in Florida, I have to have a business registered with the state, a business name. I have to have a business license for my county, and certain products, I don't remember everything now because it's been a couple years, but actual tangible products, you have to charge sales tax, which means you have to collect that and pay that to the state every month. And if you don't do that, well, they'll come after you because you are doing something illegal. You are providing a product or service that should be taxable that's not. And not to mention, at the end of the year, the IRS wants their cut too. So if you are making money doing photography as a business and you are not paying taxes on it, well, it's going to catch up with you eventually. Or you are really putting a black eye on the industry because you might be charging less money than the guy down the street who actually went through all the proper procedures. He has a business license. He's paying for insurance. He's paying the sales tax. So he has to charge more because of all those things. And if you're just a beginner, got a camera for Christmas and decided to make money with it, well, that's a different story. And it's not really appropriate. And I'm trying not to be too mean on this or be cruel to some who are just getting started, but my point is, don't charge until you're ready to charge. In other words, if you just got a camera today and you've never used it before, you probably shouldn't charge your neighbor to take pictures of their dog. It just doesn't make sense. Learn how to be a photographer before making it a business, because the business of photography and being a photographer are two very different things. When I was a professional wedding photographer, we shot probably 40 to 60 weddings a year on average, but most of my time was spent, editing the photos. The rest of the time was spent marketing, talking with clients, figuring out how people wanted things, working on packaging and pricing, doing things like that have nothing to do with actually taking a photo. Most of our time was not actually spent taking photos. It was spent running a business. And that's a whole different aspect of probably a whole other video that I might make someday. But the gist is, don't charge your friend, don't charge your family, and don't try making photography a business until you actually learn how to be a photographer first. You as a photographer have to have so many different skills, even for a simple family portrait. There's so much to it. Things go wrong, you need to be able to correct for that. That person's not cooperating, you need to be able to adjust for that. The time of day was wrong, you don't have good lighting, you need to know how to work with all of those things. Your camera breaks, what do you do now? Well, do you have a second camera? Do you have a backup? A professional would have that, and they'd have insurance to cover the first one. All these things are super important. Let's even say you damage somebody's home or their property while you're taking their pictures. Do you have liability insurance to cover yourself for that? If you say no to all those answers, guess what? You shouldn't be charging because you're not a business. You're a photographer, and it's okay. I fired my clients years ago. I'm no longer a professional photographer. I'm actually a professional creator. And I take photos now for me, things that I want to do, or to illustrate a point, or to do something for the channel, or otherwise. So I am a photographer now, but these are still skills that I've learned. And I'm seeing the huge difference and disparity between being a photographer and running a photography business. Honestly, it's easier to be a photographer. So be a photographer as long as you can. Learn all you can. It's a lifelong pursuit. And if you ever decide that you want to make it a business, look into doing it the right way. I think that's all I got for today. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Bryanized.